friends, today we will discuss Pavlov's theory of learning. It is also known as classical conditioning. It is one of the foundational concepts in behavioral psychology. It is developed by Russian physiologist Ivan Pavlov in 20th century. It explains how organisms learn through association. So key concepts of classical conditioning are: first is unconditioned stimulus. It is known as UCS, a stimulus that naturally and automatically triggers a response. For example, food is an unconditioned stimulus that causes dog to salivate. Unconditioned response, that is known as UCR, the natural unlearned reaction to the unconditioned stimulus. In Pavlov's experiments, the dog's salivation in response to food is unconditioned response, or UCR. Next is neutral stimulus, that is NS, a stimulus that initially produces no specific response other than focusing attention. In Pavlov's experiment, this was the sound of a bell. Conditioned stimulus, it is known as CS. After repeated pairing with the unconditioned stimulus, the neutral stimulus becomes a conditioned stimulus, meaning it triggers a learned response. For example, when the sound of a bell is consistently paired with the presentation of food, the dog learns to associate the bell with food. Then comes conditioned response, that is known as CR, the learned response to the conditioned stimulus. After the conditioning, the dog begins to salivate at the sound of the bell even if no food is presented. So, stages of classical conditioning is acquisition, the initial phase where the neutral stimulus is repeatedly paired with unconditioned stimulus and the association is formed. Then comes extinction. If the conditioned stimulus, that is bell, is presented without the conditioned stimulus, that is food, for a long period, the conditioned response, that is salivation, will gradually diminish. Spontaneous recovery. After extinction, if the conditioned stimulus is presented again after a rest period, the conditioned response can suddenly reappear. Generalization, the tendency to respond to stimuli that are similar to the conditioned stimulus. Then comes discrimination, the learned ability to distinguish between a conditioned stimulus and other irrelevant stimuli is known as discrimination. Pavlov's work laid the groundwork for understanding how behaviors can be learned through association and greatly influenced behaviorist theory of learning.